Welcome back to another episode of Pass and Move podcast. My name is Dominic, and of course, joined by my co-host Aaron. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. A lot of things to discuss this week, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. I think we're gonna start with what was announced on the Monday at the beginning of this week, the Ballon d'Or, and yeah, I mean there was kind of a crazy reaction to kind of everything that came out about this. I think probably for the last month or so now, it had been reported widely that Vinicius Junior was going to win the award. He knew he was going to win the award, and you were even seeing pundits like Jamie Carragher saying, congrats on your Ballon d'Or and things like that. For it to come out and be Rodri as the winner, and to be fair, like it was always kind of between those two, really and truly, but it's kind of crazy how it was so widely reported to be Vinicius Junior, and I think last weekend it was all of a sudden switched and it was going to be Rodri and he won. But yeah, what do you think about the decision for Rodri to win it, and then what do you think about the whole like media fallout with like the Real Madrid players and even other football players as well, and them not really turn up to the ceremony and all that stuff?
I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy to me. Like, I think first of all, I think it's actually kind of disrespectful though. Like the whole thing of, like, even when there's been times where players have been robbed of awards or players have been like, people felt like overwhelmingly someone didn't deserve an award. I feel like the whole thing of people are like, ah, we know the real winner, blah 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 blah. Like all those tweets and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like it's a bit disrespectful. Like the fact that there's not even like, for example, Haaland, when Haaland won it, or when Haaland came second and Messi won it, Haaland still congratulated Messi. Like he was still like chill. He still went to the awards, blah blah blah. Like it was whatever in it. But like with this whole thing, like none of the Madrid players have even congratulated. They not congratulated Rodri. Madrid didn't turn up to the show, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Like
not turning up the whole squad. They said nah,
bro. And it's crazy. I was talking to my boy about this as well. I was saying like, deep it for guys like Bellingham. Bellingham got third. He came third in his.
Yeah,
So
man couldn't even go.
Yeah,
This
this
is a
is
squad wide boycott.
bro. He's 21, and this is his first ever podium finish in the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, it'll be a while until he maybe hits that again, because now, as you've seen this season, we'll get into it later in the show, but like he's not really playing as high up the pitch as he used to, so he's gonna get less goals and assists, which means he'll probably rank lower in the Ballon d'Or. And if they win something, for example, there's guys like Vinny and Mbappe who's going to be battling against for that award.
Yeah.
So now that was literally his best ever chance, at least for a while, at ranking that high in the Ballon d'Or thing. And he's 21. Like, this is his first ever podium finish, and he couldn't go to the award. Like, for sure he would have gone with his mum and his dad and do all
Joe
the pictures.
probably would have been there as
Bro,
well.
he would have done all of that, but he couldn't. He literally couldn't go, and that's, to me, I find that kind of crazy. Not gonna lie, like, I don't know. I think the whole thing is it's a bit petty. Not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, though, I would say I do definitely feel like there must have been someone. I'm not sure whether it was that they kept it a secret and someone told Vinny the wrong information or something. But I do feel like definitely it was like kind of like well-known knowledge that Vinny was gonna win. Because I remember
100%.
seeing like tweets from Fabrizio and other people saying Vinny knows he's gonna win.
Yeah.
And Ancelotti said in like 4 different press conferences, yeah, Vinny's gonna win. Vinny's gonna win. Like, it was kind of accepted that Rodri was coming second and Vinny was gonna win. Like, it was a bit of a shock for me to see like the night before, oh, Rodri's winning the Ballon d'Or. I'm thinking, what? But
Yeah, I mean, it was a shock, but it was kind of nice though, because I feel like, bro, like with all the like with the social media generation and stuff now, everyone's like reporting stuff online. I feel like everything just gets leaked. Like back in the day, like when Messi and Ronaldo were going head to head, we wouldn't know who was going to win the Ballon d'Or until the night, or maybe the night before. You might hear something or something like that, and obviously, yeah, it's going to be between those two, but for it to be like reported a whole month before that we're gonna get the winner, or yeah, who the winner's gonna be, it kind of takes like the whole mystique away from the awards. So I don't know, like that last minute like switch, I don't know, it was kind of, I don't know, it shook things up a little bit. Even if I don't know, I feel like there was definitely something on the communication side there, because everybody seemed sure that Vinny was gonna win it.
Nah, for sure. But I don't know. What do you think of of the actual winner, Rodri, winning it? And how do you feel about the Vinicius, Jude? How do you feel about that stuff?
Man, defensive midfielders winning Ballon d'Ors, the game is gone. Nah. In all seriousness, Rodri, I mean, he's the best midfielder in the world, to be honest. And I wouldn't even box him into just saying he's a defensive midfielder. Especially, I feel like the last 2 seasons at City, he's been doing a lot more in terms of box to box, getting around. And obviously, we see what he does in the big games with the goals and the moments, Champions League final, knockout games against Bayern. Like, he always comes through with a big goal when his team needs. And yeah, I mean, I think it's not like a robbery per se, like how some people have painted the picture. Because Rodri is, he is top. And if it wasn't going to be Vinny, it was going to be Rodri. Do you know what I mean? He had a very good year with Manchester City, obviously win the league, and what else? Did you guys just win the league last season?
Yeah, one league and then like
And the Euros.
Club World Cup. Oh yeah, he won
Club
Euros.
Cup
Yeah.
and the Euros, yeah. But I do have, I assume you think Rodri deserved to win.
Yeah, I don't know. I think definitely out of the way that they're going of Vinny and Rodri, I'd say Rodri definitely. But for me personally, I actually would have gone Jude, not going to lie. I thought Jude, like for almost like 60% of last season, I was saying Jude. Because the start for Real Madrid, Jude's start was crazy. Like we'd only ever seen Ronaldo hit those sort of levels. And then even up until December, like even games he wasn't playing well, he was like scoring long shots against Barcelona in the Clasico, winning them the game with a brace, like things like that. Like to me, it just all seemed kind of like cut and dry. It was going to be Jude, and then like I think it was after we lost to them in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then I think Vinny scored 2. I can't remember how many, but he scored at least 1 against Bayern. And then from then it started becoming a thing of, Vinny should start to win the Ballon d'Or because Jude wasn't really performing at the same level in the knockouts. But for me, it was always Jude. Like I felt like what he'd done in the league and in the first half alone, I felt like that was already enough for me. So I already had settled on Jude before anything else. But yeah, I think if he sort of been like almost like subtracted from the conversation with, I think it was the parade when they won the Champions League or La Liga, one of the two. He was like saying like Vinny Balon d'Or or something. Like, everyone was chanting like Vinny Balon d'Or, and he was like saying like Vinny deserves it and stuff. From then, I think it was kind of like he wasn't really in a conversation anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think for me anyway, I think out of those 3 players, so Vinny, Rodri, and Jude, I feel like last season, Vinny probably reached the highest level. I think some of the moments in the games that we saw in the Champions League, obviously you mentioned the Bayern tie, obviously showed up as well in the final with a goal. I'm thinking back to the Clasicos as well, where he was really good. Games against Girona, obviously Girona were really up there in the league last season, where he was just incredible. I think one game at the Bernabeu where they came, when it was still quite close in the league between them, I think Real Madrid beat them like 4-0, hit like a crazy Trivela pass for one of the goals. I just think last season, Vinny's overall level was probably the best out of any player in the world. And I think as well, I don't know, I've seen a lot of people kind of try and downplay his season last year because of the numbers. And like, look, okay, he's not getting like Messi or Ronaldo numbers. Like those guys are freaks. Do you know what I mean? We're not gonna see players that are gonna be able to replicate that. But he still had pretty respectable numbers across all competitions, and he was also injured for quite a lot of the season as well. So I think that definitely kind of brought down his numbers a little bit. But I have some questions for you about the Ballon d'Or winner, and I want you to answer truthfully. Yeah, no lies told.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm there.
Last season, yeah, in the Premier League for Manchester City, who do you believe was Manchester City's best player?
Foden.
Okay, who do you think was their most important player?
Rodri, most important. But I think Foden was definitely best.
Okay, who do you think was Spain's best player at the Euros?
Fabian Ruiz.
Do you think Rodri even cracks top 3?
Nah, I think Rodri's 4th. I think Ruiz, Olmo, Yamal, Rodri. That's what I would go.
Rodri's better than Nico at the Euros.
Yeah, I think so. I think Rodri was really good at the Euros actually, but I think that was an award I'd say he robbed the
best player 100%.
Yeah. I think because he robbed that award, people sort of went the other way and said, nah, he wasn't good at all. But I think he was really good at the Euros. I just think he wasn't like, I wouldn't say he was top 3.
Okay, fair enough. Nah, I'm happy with the honest answer, to be fair. I don't know. So it's just kind of interesting that City's best player, well, according to you anyway, and me, I agree. But City's best player, wasn't even Rodri. Best player at the Euros wasn't even Rodri. For me, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like Vinny was Real Madrid's best player for.
Do you think?
For the second half of the season?
I don't know.
At the very least.
That's
for the second half of the season.
I don't know, because for me, the reason I'm happy with Rodri winning is because I think when you look at overall throughout the season, I would say Rodri was the best City player, but I don't think he was the best player in the league, and I don't think he was the best. So like, if you talk about just the league and let's say Champions League or whatever, up until Euros, so just like for club, Rodri was second best. But I think if you talk about that plus the Euros as well altogether, that's when I think Rodri goes above Foden, because I don't think Foden was good enough at the Euros. I think that's where it becomes like a case of that. Whereas if you look at Vinny, first half of the season he was injured, and then also for parts of it he just wasn't like at the same level. Like he wasn't bad, but he just wasn't at the same level in my opinion. And then second half, like let's say like February-ish to the end, that's when he started really lighting it up. And I feel like for me, I don't know, I value consistency a lot in it. I'd rather be the whole way through than him having highs in like the last 3-4 months. That's how I see it.
I hear that, and yeah, I mean, off consistency, I think it's hard to argue against Rodri, especially considering how Vinny and Bellingham's seasons went. But I don't know, I think for me, when you're crowning the best player in the world over a season, I feel like if somebody is showing up, like showing to be the best player in the world during the crunch time, do you know what I mean? The league running, the Champions League knockout stages, they're showing you who they are. I feel like that's got to hold a lot of weight. Anyway, personally, but let's move on to the other big news this week. Came out on Monday after Manchester United's loss to West Ham 2-1 away from home, that Erik ten Hag would be relieved of his duties. Finally, we're free.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably one of the happiest days for me personally. In this whole Ten Hag reign. But I'll be fair to the man. I think it's only right that we kind of talk through a little bit his tenure as Manchester United manager as a whole, because it wasn't all bad. Despite the last 18 months, I think when Ten Hag came in, obviously it was a lot of positivity because of the football that he played at Ajax. And you know what he was able to achieve with them in the Champions League and in the Eredivisie, and people were hoping for that style to kind of be translated into Manchester United. I think in our opening game, the one against the one against Brighton that we lost, and then the next one against Brentford, I think those two games he did try to be more expansive. I realised that it wasn't going to work with this group of players anyway, or he wasn't going to be able to find a solution to make it work quick enough for them to be able to win at a team like Manchester United. So he kind of went for a more pragmatic approach, and we did see success, to be fair, in the first season. Obviously winning the Carabao Cup, coming third. I think probably for me anyway, the peak of the highest point of the whole tenure was that tie against Barcelona, the Europa League, where we beat them across 2 legs. I think, yeah, to be honest, after those games, I was like, you know, we might be back. You know what I mean? I really thought we might have been back after those 2 games. But yeah, I just think the second season obviously is where it all collapsed. And I feel like really mainly 2 things that kind of failed for Ten Hag. I feel like one is definitely the recruitment. I think you have to look at a lot of the players that he signed with question marks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking at the likes of Anthony, of course, for 100 million. Some people have question marks over Onana. I think this season he's been very good, but last season, definitely in the beginning, he was shaky. Mason Mount signed in the second season. We've barely seen him because of how much he's been injured.
Yeah. Was Casemiro one of his signings?
Casemiro, one of his signings. Another one who was one that was good in the first season, really good in the first season actually, I think, but kind of really did fall off a cliff kind of second season. I think he's kind of picking it up a bit now this season, but I mean it's nowhere near the levels he was in the first year. And I don't know. I think Ten Hag definitely has to take a lot of the blame for that, because a lot of the players were players that he's worked with before. Do you know what I mean? There shouldn't really be an excuse for you not to be able to get these guys up and running.
Yep.
But I think obviously the kind of the structure around the club, like the whole recruitment process and everything like that, definitely didn't really help him out. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like if your manager's coming to you to say we should spend 100 million on Anthony, I feel like as a recruitment team you have to just say no. Like I don't know how you can let that happen under your watch.
Yeah.
For that amount of money. Similar with Casemiro, obviously. Well, it's a bit different because his stature is way higher in the game than someone like Anthony. But when you're looking at, this is someone that is in the twilight years of his career, we're trying to build towards something that's sustainable, that can bring us success consistently. 70 million for a player that, even best case scenario, we probably only would have gotten 2 to 3 good years out of.
Yeah.
Is that really the smartest investment? So yeah, I think definitely recruitment was one of his biggest issues. And to be honest, I would say his personality, his charisma or lack of, I should say, in the press conferences, I think that really hurt him as a manager. I feel like obviously the Manchester United job is one of the most scrutinized in the country. Do you know what I mean? And you have to be prepared to take all types of questions at any time. After a loss, it's going to be like the end of the world. After a win, it's going to feel like you're on top of the world. Do you know what I mean? That's how it is at Manchester United. And I do feel a bit bad for him on one hand, because English is not his first language. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult for anyone to speak in a second language. But even like reading what he was like in the Dutch media, like when he was at Ajax, they did kind of say he was a bit a bit tough, a bit blunt with the media. He wasn't the most charismatic person, and I think it really hurt him. And some of the things he kind of like the lies he came out with in press conferences, like where it's almost like lying to the fans about the football that you're seeing. Do you know what I mean? Saying that it's good and that we're working towards something when everybody can see that it's clearly not working. So yeah, I think that definitely also didn't help him. And then finally, the last thing I'll probably say on Ten Hag is that I feel like, for me anyway, maybe it's just the way I view football when from now is different to the way I viewed it when he kind of first came in. But I feel like a lot of the signs were kind of there for these types of issues that we've seen. Like Ajax. If you go back and watch Ajax against Tottenham in the Champions League when they lost, Lucas Moura scored those goals. You can see Ajax conceding chance after chance on the counter attack with huge gaps in the midfield for their structure. Do you know what I mean? And that's like probably the biggest tactical issue that Ten Hag has faced during his time here. But obviously he is sacked now, so that's the last I'll say on it, unless you got anything you want to say on Ten Hag.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. I just thought he was really bad. That's really like everything you could want from your manager. Like I don't know. I just like sometimes it used to. It wouldn't get me mad because I like to see obviously United do bad, but like it would get me like confused. I'll be like, bro, what are you talking about? Like the thing you mentioned about the press conferences, like they'd ask him in an interview after a game about something, and he'd say something just like, that's just not true.
Yeah.
Like what we've just watched the 90 minutes, that's just not true what you just said. And then he would say it, for example, and then the following game, his team selection would be something that doesn't align with what he said.
Yeah.
And it would just be so confused. Like it would just be like, I don't understand what he's trying to say here. So yeah, I don't know. It was, for me, I think the only reason he wasn't let go anyway was because of the FA Cup win last season.
100%.
But I would have let him go regardless anyway. But yeah, it was his time, I think.
Nah, me too. But yeah, obviously Ineos made the call finally. But I mean, obviously people have different opinions about the manager. For me, I agree with you that he should have been sacked after the FA Cup. So it's been kind of frustrating that it's taken them this long to get to this decision, especially this season with some of the performances and results that we've seen against Liverpool, against Tottenham. But they have finally come to this. They did finally come to the decision, and I do have to give them credit for the way that they have moved about our next manager, or what's looking like is going to be our next manager, Ruben Amorim. Because I think it was Monday that Ten Hag was sacked, Monday morning, and I'm pretty
It was
sure
it was the same. It was like 5 p.m.
yeah, by Monday evening 5 p.m. the story broke on the Athletic about Ruben Amorim being Ineos's number one choice target to kind of take over from Ten Hag. And yeah, that's a very quick turnaround, because one thing for me that kind of concerned me about Ten Hag staying on last summer, and then some of the coaching changes, like bringing in like Ruud van Nistelrooy, Rene Hake. These are two guys that aren't really assistant managers. Let's not get it twisted. They've both managed as first team managers in their career. So it was kind of setting off alarm bells in my head. Like, do you almost expect this guy to fail, and then this is your plan for the interim situation? So I was kind of worried when obviously it wasn't going well, and maybe we're stuck with an interim for the rest of the season, and the season's just kind of a wash. But it's been reported today that Amorim will be coming in after the international break. So what I mean, they've sorted everything. They've done it nice and quickly, and yeah, I can only really praise them for that. It was reported that they were actually having talks, or yeah, they started opening talks after their meeting in the international break, where that was kind of the first time really this season where it was like, oh, Ten Hag could be sacked. So I mean, I guess they made a decision from then, and they started putting in the groundwork. And yeah, I mean, it looks like Amorim is going to be able to join us after the international break, midway through the season, paying the release clause and the compensation fee to get it done. And yeah, that's what we like to see from a Manchester United perspective. Anyway, what do you kind of know about Ruben Amorim, and what do you think we can expect under him?
I think he's a good manager. Not gonna lie, I've only seen a few things. Like I watched him against us, obviously. I've watched him against Arsenal. I've watched Sporting against, I think, Porto, and then I've watched a few times for a few players like Marcus Edwards and Ugarte back when he was still there. So I haven't been locked in, but I've watched a few games. I can't lie, he does seem like a good manager. Like, I'm a fan of him so far. I know we were linked with him just a few weeks ago, but apparently it was more of a thing with the director of football that we're getting, rather than
like he pushing it.
Yeah, he was the one that wanted him. Apparently, it wasn't really like they wanted someone a bit more like Pep style of play. So yeah, we're still looking into that. But yeah, I think he'll be good. I can't lie. I'm looking at the Athletic article now, and it says that they considered Amorim in summer, but they wanted to see how Ten Hag does, and then they also wanted to. They also said the release clause at the time was, I think, too high. I'm not sure how much it was, but I don't know. To me, I'd be a bit mad at that, because like you could have given him a whole preseason, and also given him players like, for example, Xerxes is an example. Like, I think Xerxes is a good player, but like maybe he wouldn't have wanted Xerxes. Maybe he would have used that, was it like 40 mil or something.
Yeah.
He would have used that on a different type of player that maybe United are missing. Maybe another midfielder or something. Like Ugarte as well was like 50 mil. He would have used that maybe in a different way. You never know.
Or
So
maybe
like,
he would have still.
or maybe maybe would have stuck with him because that's his guy, innit?
Yeah.
But you never know. Like, he maybe could have. Like, I feel like it's best to give managers that whole preseason. But
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I understand what they're saying, innit? Like, they wanted to see Ten Hag under a new structure of Ineos and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think he will be good for you guys, though. Definitely. I think it's something like at least the United fans could be like, you know what, Fairs, like, this is, something promising.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I do hear where you're coming from. I don't know, I just kind of haven't really thought from that perspective. I'm just so happy that we're going to actually have a new manager in. But yeah, obviously, it's going to be a drastic change in terms of system. Well, maybe not in terms of system, not too drastic, but in terms of the formation anyway, the way we're going to be lining up on the pitch. Obviously, he plays with his kind of 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it. Who do you think could be the winners and losers of our squad right now? Because I think we said it a couple of weeks ago in the episode that I don't think our squad is obviously it's definitely not 14th place in the league bad, but like I don't think it's as bad as even people make it out to be. But yeah, do you think who do you think can be like one of the winners or losers of Amorim coming in?
I think probably Rashford will benefit a lot. I
Mm.
think Rashford will finally have a bit of his role will probably suit him a bit more. I'm assuming. I think Rashford in that inside left in like a 3-4-2-1 probably do well. I would be looking at Højlund as well. Probably a lot of people have like drawn similarities to like Højlund and Gyökeres
Yeah.
at Sporting right now. So yeah, I think he'll probably get a bit better. I feel like when Højlund first joined, especially one of the main criticisms I had for Ten Hag was that the way he was, first of all, the way Højlund was playing wasn't suiting him. Like he was really trying to get into defenders and wrestle with them a lot, which I don't think is his game, and it hasn't ever really been his game. And then
Yeah.
secondly, I feel like the way that Ten Hag was using Højlund, I didn't think it suited him at all either. Like it was a bit weird to me. It was like, why buy this player if you're not gonna play to his strengths? So I feel like those two will definitely benefit a lot, and probably a bit surprisingly, I think Mason Mount might have something.
Ooh.
If he can stay fit, I think he might definitely get a shot in that pivot in the role, or maybe not in a pivot, but
Maybe
like
even
in the
tens.
yeah, maybe in the advanced positions he played on the Tuchel as well. Like you could definitely have something going on there. So yeah, I think they'd probably benefit a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, I agree with those. I didn't really think about Mason Mount, to be fair, but I definitely agree with Rashford and Højlund. I think Højlund particularly, because if you watch Amorim, the way his team kind of like to play is in terms of in the final third, they are really focused on creating chances for the striker. And, you know, I mean, Gyökeres has been eaten this season and last season for Sporting. And that's something that Højlund has been someone that has been starved of service at times for us, not taking shots. And I think, I mean, if you watch him, some of the goals he scores, some of the finishes that he's capable of, like he can really strike a ball. Do you know what I mean? He just has to be. We have to find him in those positions where he can shoot more often. And you know, if the whole system is going to be catered towards that, I think it's really like, I don't know, it's really going to be like make or break for Højlund. You know, if all goes well for in terms of implementing the system anyway, because yeah, these are probably going to be the best kind of conditions for him to succeed at Manchester United. I think someone who could do well as well is Ahmad. I feel like Manchester United fans have been like, we've been talking about this guy for ages as someone that could come in and be a solution, especially kind of with the whole situation with Anthony and stuff, and our right wing situation, Garnacho playing out there sometimes. I think there's been a lot of clamour for Ahmad to play, and this season he started playing under Ten Hag, and I think he was doing quite well, to be fair. And then I don't know, he just dropped him all of a sudden. We barely ever saw him again. But I think under Amorim, with these inside tens or inside forwards, however you want to call them, I think Ahmad could really thrive in those tight spaces. I think he is kind of more like a winger 10 kind of hybrid more than an out and out winger. I think sometimes, even this season, when he's been forced to play kind of on the touchline, he struggled a little bit because he doesn't really have that kind of like crazy burst to get past a man, but he is really good in a tight space. He's good at linking up with players.
Yeah.
I think he's actually pretty decent with his back to goal as well. From kind of his time at Sunderland, where he was almost in like a free role, to be honest. When he was playing for Sunderland, receiving the ball all over the pitch, and obviously one of the most physical leagues in the world. So I think his back to goal play has definitely improved from that, and that's something that Amorim asks a lot of his like inside forwards to do. So I think he could definitely be someone to benefit. I think of course Ugarte, because
that's his old coach.
the start for Ugarte at Manchester United hasn't been the greatest. I think he was pretty good yesterday against Leicester, to be fair, but it's been pretty rough. And I think obviously, you know, he knows the coach, he knows what is going to be expected of him, and I just think like the role that he's going to be playing is just going to suit him more for his kind of strengths. Like he's someone that likes to go and win the ball high and, you know, chase the ball around, you know what I mean, to win it. And I think with the way that Amorim likes to press, that's something that he's going to be able to do. So he should thrive in there. And I think a rogue shout, to be honest. I think Garnacho could do well, but I think as a wing back, to be honest. I think as a left
Really?
wing back,
Damn.
yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I've seen a couple people say this, but I think when you really consider it and like Garnacho's strengths and what Amram asked of his wing backs to do, it kind of makes sense. So the wing backs aren't really, nominal wing backs. They're more like wide midfielders almost, and they get quite involved in the final third. Obviously, they provide the width, and they pop up in the final third with opportunities to kind of get goals and assists. And I think that a role like that would actually, I think it would help Garnacho in the fact that it would take away the kind of a responsibility that he has in possession at the moment in this team. I mean, if you watch some of our recent games with him on the left, it's a lot of get Garnacho the ball. What can he do with it? Can he make something happen? And he's 20 years old. Do you know what I mean? He's already played over 100 games for United. Like he's overplayed as it is. I don't think, yeah, someone 20 years old. It's not like he's I don't know, like a generational talent or something like that. I don't think someone of his age should be given that much responsibility in a team like this. I feel like at wing back it would allow him to kind of have a bit less responsibility, and just focus on like getting into the right spots in the final third, which he is good at. Like his off the ball movement is really good, and hopefully he can take the chances that he kind of gets. Another thing as well is his ball carrying. He's not really like a great 1v1 dribbler, but he's good at progressing the ball through carrying, like bringing the ball up the pitch. And I feel like that's a good attribute to have as a wing back. Do you know what I mean? Someone who's going to get the ball deep I don't know, in the middle of the pitch maybe, and be able to drive forward, take it into the last line, and maybe pick out a cross or create a chance, something like that. So yeah, I it's a bit of a rogue shout, but yeah, I feel like if Amorim does try and use him as a wing back, because I don't think he really has the qualities to play in those inside 10 positions. I think if Amorim tries to use him as a wing back, we could be seeing something quite good. But yeah, obviously he is coming in. He is coming in after the international break, so we are stuck with Ruud van. Oh, I say stuck with. We do have Ruud van Nistelrooy for the next couple of games. I mean, we'll see how those go. I mean, good start yesterday in the Carabao Cup, 5-2 win. First time we scored 5 goals against a Premier League opposition since Oli, which is crazy.
Yeah,
the fact that we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how those games go. Hopefully, can keep an unbeaten record. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, let's move on to some of the games though. Obviously, another game in the Carabao Cup yesterday was Spurs versus Manchester City, and you were actually at that game.
Yeah.
Live in the flesh.
Yeah, man.
Talk to me about it.
Bro, I can't lie. This team, man. Yo, there's a lot of, I don't know. I feel right now, if City fans say that they're concerned, I think that's valid, especially in terms of like a squad issue. Because right now, a lot of our players are injured, and we need a lot of signings next summer. Because a lot of people are either going to be leaving, or they're just not going to be able to play, genuinely. So there's like right now, I think off this game anyway, and Pep has said it in previous press conferences, he was never really going to play a strong side, but he was kind of forced to play this side anyway. Like before, he'd said, for this Carabao Cup game, like I'm going to play players who haven't had a lot of minutes, and maybe some young players who need an opportunity, and then I'm going to play players. I'm not going to like go full strength. Like I'm just going to give people a chance to play who need to play, type thing. But we went into this game, and we had KDB out, Rodri, Doku, Grealish, and then during the warm-up for this game, Akanji got injured. So Ruben Diaz, who was just at the Balon d'Or ceremony partying with Rodri, right? He's then been forced into the lineup last minute. So he plays. I'm not going to lie, he got spun for the first goal, actually. He was like high up the pitch. I think it might have been Kulusevski or someone.
Hangover was still hitting.
Yeah, they just went. They just breathed. They did like one turn, and then the ball was past him, and then they went through, passed it again, passed it to Werner, goal. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this whole one thing that I would say from a tactical point of view, this whole game, our midfield was really bad, and it kind of stems from, in my opinion, it kind of stems from 2 players. I would say Nico O'Reilly. I think he's not really at the level we need yet. And obviously he's a young player, so that's not really like a bad thing because you just give him time and he'll grow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Type of thing. But I feel like sometimes he's not really at the level that you need. And then also Gundogan, I think he's on the other end of the spectrum. I think it's a bit concerning, not gonna lie, because I don't know, when he was at Barca, he wasn't this bad at all.
Yeah.
And now he's coming. It's like, bro, he's clearly unathletic, which is, it's cool. Like, he's never been the most athletic player, so it's expected. But even on the ball, like, he's not doing the things we need him to do. Like, his progression is bad, his passing is sloppy, like, his carrying's bad. Like, all the things that you usually associate with Gundogan, it's just not there anymore. And then even if you were to play him more advanced, like in the 10, this season when he's been playing in the 10, he's not been good either. So it's like, I don't know, it's really getting a bit concerning because during the first half even, they sent Kovacic and Bernardo to warm up, and then during still like with like 5 minutes left in the first half, they sent Kovacic down the tunnel to get like changed and get ready to come on, which is crazy to me. Like,
Pep was tired.
yeah, like it's insane. Like, that was a game where we were supposed to not make any early subs, maybe make a few late subs, to maybe bring on Kovacic at like the 80th when someone's really tired, or bring on Bernardo or something. But we were forced to make subs already by half time. We were already forced to make subs, which is so crazy to me. And then also at half time, we had to take off Diaz. Obviously, he wasn't up to it. I thought he still played all right within the conditions, to be fair, but I didn't think he was up to it. And we brought on, I think it was Vardio, another player who was supposed to be just rested this whole game.
Yeah.
He had to come on. So Vardio came on. Rico Lewis looked really, really tired. But again, as I say, I think the midfield, I think I'll give credit to Spurs where credit's due. They just bullied us in the midfield. Like, on the stats, we had a lot of possession, but we could never get the ball from our defence to our attack. And Foden ended up getting hooked. I think Foden wasn't that bad, but
Played false nine, right?
yeah, but that's one thing I mentioned on Twitter, is that to me it didn't feel like he's really a false nine. Like, for example, back in the day when we used to play him false nine or play other players false nine, we had our wide players. We had Sterling, we had Mahrez, we had Foden on the wing sometimes. We have these sort of like a bit more direct players, these players who will get more goals. Whereas, I don't know, with now, it almost just feels like our same system, just you take out Haaland and put a midfielder there. Like, it doesn't feel like the dynamics are representing a false nine. Like, he's not dropping into the 10. There's not Cancelo going up. There's not the wingers going in. Like, there's none of that.
Not that support.
Yeah, it's literally just as if you subbed out Haaland and put a number 10 in there instead. That's what it feels like to me. And I don't know, he spent most of the game just wrestling with Romero before he came off and Dragusin. Like, that was it, because he wasn't touching the ball otherwise. Like, there was literally nothing he could do. And I don't know. I think Spurs I think they had Bentancur, Sarr and Kulusevski. Their midfield three was up against ours with Gundogan, McAtee, O'Reilly. They just bullied us, to be fair. And then the other way round, when they had the ball, it was literally like Vicario gets the ball from a goal kick, right? Vicario will play one ball through to maybe Kulusevski. He'll play like a direct ball. And then he'll take the ball and turn, and they'll be in our half, just like that. Like, it wasn't even, there was no competition, there was nothing. And I've seen some people on Twitter talk about our press being bad, but I think besides from our press being bad, I just feel like we've been missing it a lot this season, that physicality in the midfield.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that was just it kind of being highlighted on like, kind of like on the Jumbotron type thing, because we didn't have our key players there to help in possession. So you could just see the difference in physicality. So yeah, obviously it was a game that I think Pep was okay with losing. I think he just wanted to give people a chance to play out there, but Savio ended up getting stretchered off.
Yeah.
It looked really bad. I saw him at first, he was going to take the corner, and then he didn't. He told, I can't remember who it was, he told someone else, I think it's Foden maybe, he told him, nah, you take the corner. No, Foden just came off, sorry, so it wouldn't have been Foden, but he was like, yeah, you take the corner, like, I can't take the corner. And he was like limping. And then after, he just goes down, he starts slapping the ground. I'm like, oh, wow, like this looks serious. So they're there, they bring on everything, blah, 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 all the medical team. Then they bring on the stretcher. I'm like, oh, wow. So, yeah, it looked really bad. But I don't know, someone referenced that Anthony did the same thing, I think, for United, and he was out for like 2 weeks. So it could just be something minor, you never know. But yeah, we're just hoping. Apparently, some of the early reports have said it's not that bad. Okay. They just want to see, like, they need to give him a few more scans and stuff and see what it is. But yeah, now we've got all four wingers injured. So it looks like but obviously Bernardo had come on in the last game, so it looks like that's our team for the next 3 games. Going to be Bernardo right wing, Mateus Nunes left wing. Who's been pretty good, to be fair. He did score in this last game. I don't know. I still don't think he's a left winger.
Neither, but he's been good.
But he's definitely that's one thing I definitely rate players for, is when they perform sort of above their means, or they perform in situations like where it's not really suited or not really tailored for them.
Yeah.
He's definitely doing that right now. I think our last 5 goals, he had a goal or assist in all of our last 5 goals. So he's definitely doing well at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I think this kind of represents a bit of a larger issue, in my opinion, with the squad, which is that Pep likes to have a small squad, which is fine. It's always worked for him. But the thing when we had a small squad is that you had a lot of players who were reliable. So Foden has, even though people used to say Foden's on the bench, well, Foden's played a lot of games, like throughout his City career. Sterling used to play a lot of games. Bernardo plays a lot of games. So that's sort of been our thing, is that all these players can play multiple positions. So if someone gets injured, just plug them in there, just put them in there. So Foden will play left wing. Sterling can play striker in some games. Sterling can play right wing. Bernardo will play midfield. Bernardo played left back even. I think in the treble season he played a few games at left back.
Against Arsenal,
against Arsenal he played left back. So it's like we've had these players who can do that, but now it feels like there's a lot of players in our team that I'd say are getting injury prone. Gundogan has had injury issues like throughout his career. KDB's got injury issues. Grealish has got injury issues. Walker's getting injury issues as well. Stones has always had injury issues. Ake has had injury issues. At the moment, Bob is out. I don't think Bob's really got injury issues like that, but Rodri's kind of been running to the ground anyway, regardless of the ACL. I think he was really getting tired anyway. And I don't know, Haaland's got big injury issues as well. It feels like there's a lot of, to do this thing with having such a small squad, you have to have players who are durable. And I feel like at the moment, we don't really have that. And at the same time, the club's not really willing to shift players or force players out.
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck in a bit of a limbo where it's like you have a small squad and you want to keep everyone happy by giving them lots of minutes, but at the same time, these players physically, like, they just can't play because they're injury prone. So I think we're kind of at a crossroads now. I think now this upcoming summer is going to be a big one because obviously there's Pep. Whether or not he's going to stay, you don't know. And a lot of players like KDB might be on his way out. I think Walker might be on his way out. Stones is definitely a possibility. Grealish is definitely a possibility. Ortega and Edison, like
Grealish a possibility. We're gonna have some conversation.
Yeah,
if Grealish leaves
I think
next summer,
I think it's a possibility for sure. I think he's as likely as, I'd say he's as likely as probably Bernardo to leave next season.
£100 million man, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I personally would definitely keep him if I had the choice. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like rumored that he was going to leave. I think the only thing that could really stop him from leaving is a price tag. I think I don't think they'll accept less than like maybe 60, 70 mil. I feel like I'm not sure how many teams would pay that. But I don't know if let's say Aston Villa came in with like a 70 mil bid. I'm not gonna lie. I think he'd go. I think he'd definitely go.
Back to Villa.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting summer for sure because we've got a lot of movement going on, a lot of things going on. New director of football. So yeah, I don't know. I think this game is kind of trivial in the grand scheme of things. But obviously, you know, I guess this is the state we're at right now.
Yeah. Thank you from our correspondent live from the game. But let's move on to the biggest game of the Premier League weekend last week. Obviously, Arsenal hosted Liverpool at the Emirates. Game ended 2-2, but I thought Arsenal in the first half anyway were quite good, to be honest. I thought they were probably the better team. I think Saka had a really good game. Obviously, absolutely cooked Robertson for the goal. And yeah, I just think, well, not even just for the goal. I think that whole first half, and to be honest, at times in the second half as well, it was like Liverpool didn't know what to do with him. Like they couldn't handle him on that right wing. I think yeah, that kind of comes back to a bit of a conversation we were having last episode about Arsenal, because obviously they go 1-0 up in a game. Liverpool bring it back. They go 2-1 up, but they can't really hold out. And I feel like, you know, as we were saying last week, if they have another player, another star attacker that's kind of on Saka's level, Do you know what I mean? Like if you had another player who could drop that same or a similar level of performance to what Saka dropped against Liverpool on the weekend, Arsenal walk out of their winners comfortably. I think, in my opinion. But that's even neither here or there, because obviously they don't have the players. But I think where this game really probably took a turn was the Gabriel injury at the beginning of the second half. Arsenal obviously going through their own little bit of an injury crisis. I think, to be honest, that's really when Liverpool were properly able to get back into the game. I think in the first half, even when it was 1-1, I think Arsenal was still kind of comfortably the better team, the more threatening team. And then, of course, they get a goal. Marino's first goal for a great set piece, actually. Really good ball from Declan Rice, perfectly on really? Marino's head.
Yeah.
But I think, they in the first half, Arsenal were definitely the better team. I think second half, though, after the Gabriel injury, Arsenal really just kind of sat back, and I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a trend this season that I'm seeing from Arteta's teams, and I don't really know how I feel about it. Obviously, Man City, they sat back, but it's kind of a different circumstance with the red card. Spurs, I know it's a North London derby away from home, and they did have injuries, but even still, I feel like Arteta wouldn't have been this defensive or this quick to be this reactionary in the past. I feel like it's definitely a new thing this season with, I don't know if it's a different direction he's trying to take the team in, but I don't know. What do you think about kind of the game in Arsenal this season?
I don't know. It's something I said before, but I feel like the whole thing of like a club, their culture and like mentality, I think it all bleeds through. So like from the top, from the leaders in the club, the manager, the coaches, the players, and the fans as well. I think all of it's kind of linked in together. And I feel like, I don't know, it's sort of like this whole backs against the wall, like us versus the world type of approach. It's kind of, I don't know, you see it definitely reflecting their play style. Like, I don't know, I'm not necessarily saying they should like go and 9 men against Chelsea, play on the halfway line. But I don't know, I feel like you do want to see a bit more sort of fight when you're at home in the lead as well.
Especially at home.
That's what I think. I think the biggest thing is when you're at home. And one of my mates is an Arsenal fan, and he said it quite a few times, that he doesn't like when Arsenal fans get criticism of like not supporting the team enough, because essentially the fans are going to be as loud as you make them. Like, you have to inspire the fans. So if the football you're playing isn't, getting the crowd off their feet, you can't expect the crowd to cheer for 90 minutes when they're not enjoying what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's also another thing that has kind of been a bit neglected. I feel like when you're at home, you need to make the most of that home advantage. You need your fans to get behind you. And I feel like you need to make you need to make it like a fortress. Like when you used to go Anfield, bro.
Yeah, long.
Anfield with prime Salah, Firmino, Mane, them Klopp days, you go Anfield, it will feel like a cauldron. Like, anyone will say it. Even when we were in our treble season, I think it was Valverde that said when Madrid came there, they were like, this is the scariest crowd we've been to. Like, you need to, I feel like when you're trying to be this best team, you need to like really utilize your home advantage. Like, you shouldn't be, even, I do understand Saliba's out, Gabriel had to get taken off, but still I feel like you need to sort of build that fortress. Like, that has to be the mindset that when teams come there, they don't have a chance. They need to really like work for a draw. That has to be the sort of mindset you instill. And I feel like, I don't know, it doesn't really feel like they have that at the moment. It feels like a bit, I don't know the word to use. It kind of feels like they're just kind of like, you know what, let's just take what we can get at this point. Even though they are like with a weakened squad with injuries, I don't know. I still feel like there is a bit more that they can do, especially with the team and the coach they have and the players they have. I don't know.
It's almost like they go into their shell too quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think 2-1 up at home, do you know what I mean? That situation, I feel like you should manage the game better. And of course, Liverpool are a great team, do you know what I mean? But, Liverpool are a great team. If you let them dominate the game, they are going to punish you, and that's what Salah did. But let's move on quickly to our last game of the episode. obviously the El Clasico was last weekend. Probably the biggest game of the weekend because I mean, I think El Clasico might be back. You know,
Bro.
4-0 to Barcelona at the Santiago Bernabeu to stop Real Madrid from uh, extending their unbeaten streak and breaking a new record. Crazy game. What did you make of these performances?
These performances, indeed. Listen, man. Let's talk about Mbappe. Let's talk about Mbappe, because boy, 8 offsides is crazy. First of all, innit? I just want to say,
Crazy.
eight offsides. I think Haaland has 6 this entire season. So let's talk about that first. Eight offsides is crazy to me, right? But I think offsides aside, I don't know. I just feel like I've not been really impressed with him so far. Like this game was kind of like I think it's one of his worst games, but still,
100%.
still like I don't know. I feel like I expected a bit more. Obviously, there's the gelling period that people talk about and things like that, but I still wanted to see more in this game, and it really didn't feel like he was providing really much. I don't know. I think the team setup as a whole was kind of relying on, okay, we know they're gonna play this high line. Just get Mbappe and Vinny in behind, and let's go from there.
And
But
I think that's kind of sorry to cut you a bit, but that's kind of the thing that like frustrates me the most about this performance. Is
yeah,
that okay? Mbappe is clearly is not the best at playing as the number nine focal point in the team, right? But in a game like the El Clasico against Barcelona, with the way they set up to play a ridiculous high line, like brother, you're one of the fastest players in world football. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like even like after the first couple times, because you're not going to be able to time your run perfectly every time. But
yeah,
after the first couple times, I mean, be a bit smarter to kind of like, okay, maybe I can drop and then make the run, or
yeah,
I don't know, give a little quick move or something. Like we've even seen Mbappe do stuff like that in the past, and it's like. I don't know. Just for me, it's really disappointing when it's like I don't know. This is a scenario where you really could have feasted. Do you know what I mean? Real Madrid, obviously, a lot of them are offsides. They don't count as chances, but those are threatening moments that the first half could have been different if those outcomes are different if Mbappe is on side.
nah, for sure. I agree with what you said about dropping as well. I feel like Mbappe is actually a really smart player, which is why it didn't make sense because I think he's one of the smartest players in the world. Like, I feel like, especially because they didn't have a Araujo this game. I think it was Koundé, Kubasi, I think
And
Inigo
Inigo
Martinez,
yeah.
and then Balde. Like, Mbappe, if you just drift over to that left-hand side, and he did, I'm pretty sure he did get there once. Was it? No, it was Vinny who did get there once, and he cut inside Kubasi and tried to go near post and just missed. But I feel like Mbappe, like, as a player of your pace, you don't even need to beat them offside because of how high they're going to be. Just receive the ball and run with it. You're going to
Yeah.
outpace Kubasi. You're going to drift past Koundé. Like, you're fine. You're going to go past these players. So, I don't know. I feel like there was still, I don't know. I think even with the game plan being, I don't think the game plan was good at all from the start. But with, no, as you said, knowing how Barca are going to play, within like the first 20 minutes, you should adapt. And I feel like, I
Yeah.
don't know, it was, as you said, it was disappointing not to see that sort of, that sort of change from them. But I don't know, man. I think this is kind of a bit similar to what we've been saying with this too many cooks in the Madrid team right now. I think Rodrigo was out this game, so it kind of helped them simplify it a bit because they
Yeah.
had less players. But still, I don't know. They had, I think, Bellingham playing like kind of like right mid, supporting
Yeah,
Vasquez.
out of possession, it was almost like right wing
Yeah.
back. To be honest,
I wasn't a fan of that, but on to Barca at least. I think
Yeah.
Barca are really good, man. Casado, I think Casado was great. Really, really, really big performance in the Clasico as well.
yeah,
Yeah, crazy performance. Pedri as well. Pedri probably would be my man of the match for this game. I think Pedri was great.
fair enough. It was
What,
class.
what, what would you say about their performance?
For me, yeah, Barcelona top, like backing up that Bayern Munich performance that they had in midweek last week, and again with the La Masia products like Kubasi, another great performance. Balde, really good performance. I really liked his performance, and obviously he had a great assist for one of Lewandowski's goals. Pedri Casado, as you mentioned, Yamal, of course, becoming the youngest player to score in a Clasico. And I think, yeah, the main thing for me that I really enjoy about this Barcelona team is their front three dynamics, like the way Rafinha, Yamal, and Lewandowski kind of interchange and connect with each other. Because they are quite fluid. Like sometimes you'll see Rafinha coming out to the right hand side, Yamal coming inside a bit, or Lewandowski drifting. And yeah, I think it works really well for them. And I think they're the highest scoring team in Europe this season. So yeah, I think it's definitely Barcelona definitely looking scary. Where do you kind of think that they can go?
Champions League,
in the Champions League.
probably quarterfinals. I think there's some things that still hold them back. I think they're a better team than a lot of teams, but I think there's some things that will hold them back in the latter stages. I think sometimes the depth just isn't as good as you need it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But I don't know. I think definitely also a quick shout out to Lewandowski and Rafinha, because just like 6 months ago, you wouldn't think they'd be performing at this level. Like their Barcelona
they really
futures
turned
were
it
in
around.
doubt, but yeah, they have definitely turned it around. So shout out to them for sure.
No, 100%. But that's all we have time for on this week's episode. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and all socials. And until next time, we're out.